wide.
Hello everyone, I'm TG and welcome back to the House of Sleaze. I hope you guys have all been enjoying the Resident Evil Reverse content and you are all just as excited as I am to finally play the game in May. To cap off this series, I'd like to just go through all the survivors and give you guys some basic tips so you are ready to start owning when the game finally does come out. What I'm going to do is go through each survivor, their weapons, their skills, and show you some basic strategies so you aren't going out of the gate with no idea what to do. And don't forget, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, or hell, you just want to make me smile, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe because there is much more coming soon. Now, before we get going, I just want to let you guys know this isn't going to be a concise, in-depth guide of everything you can do as each character, because like I said in the last video, I only had access to the beta, so a lot of things might actually change when the full game comes out. The purpose of this is to just get you guys acclimated to how the game works and how some of the systems are gonna pan out. So without further ado, let's get started. So I think the best place to start out with is my girl Ada Wong. And what I'm going to do is just kind of give you a brief overview of how she works, because I've already done a guide on Ada, and if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out now before going any further. The main thing you need to know about Ada is she plays different from all the other characters. She is, I don't want to call her a stealth character, but that's kind of the most appropriate way to put it. She isn't the one that's going to be fighting in the fray, going hand to hand with other survivors or BOWs. She's kind of going to be picking people off from the side, going from encounter to encounter, finding an opportunity, finding a way to wedge herself in, and quite frankly, steal kills. So, lending itself to that strategy, her two weapons are the Broom HC handgun and the crossbow. Now, the Broom HC, it has a smaller magazine than any other handgun in the game. You only get 9 shots. However, the shots are powerful, and they do fire quite fast, and her reload speed is actually quite fast as well. Now, what really sets the Broom HC apart from the other handguns in the game is this is the main way that Ada is going to be dealing her damage. She doesn't have an assault rifle or a shotgun like the other characters. Most of her damage is coming from her handgun. On the other end of the spectrum, she has the crossbow. This is a single shot weapon. Again, unlike the assault rifle, unlike Leon's shotgun, you get one chance and then you got to reload. Typically, you're going to want to make that shot a fully focused reticle headshot to make it really count and actually do some big damage. Ada is more about comboing all her skills together than she is about doing flat damage. So moving on to her skills, her passive is a Spy's Wisdom. This automatically recovers a small amount of stamina when her HP reaches danger. What that means is, in essence, Ada can dodge 4 times whenever she's under fire. Usually, she has 3 dodges, so she's similar to the male characters in the game, and she does have the speed of the female characters, but a Spy's Wisdom is going to make it so nobody can match her speed. Nobody can match her ability to run in and out of combat, to escape bioweapons, etc. Next, the first of her active skills is the Pipe Bomb Arrow. So what this does is it shoots a hook up into the sky, Ada jumps up, and you aim your crossbow to fire an AoE pipe bomb that damages everybody in the blast radius. And it's very important to mention, after you use this, Ada will automatically switch to her crossbow. So you have to make sure your crossbow is always loaded. That's the thing about Ada. It's all about reload, reload, reload. That's why her handgun reloads so fast. Pipe Bomb Arrow deals huge damage at the center, and as you go farther out the radius, obviously it deals less damage. The purpose of this is to find enemies that are fighting each other and start raining down the chaos from afar, picking them off with your handgun, your crossbow, and a nice big juicy pipe bomb arrow. Lastly, she has a somersault. What this is a quick backflip somersault kick that deals a pretty large amount of damage and knocks down a survivor if it hits them. The one caveat to this is the hitbox on somersault kick is 0. So you have to actually be touching the enemy because your hitbox is Ada's hitbox. It's significantly smaller than the hot dogger, and it's significantly smaller even than HUNK's Assassinate, so just keep that in mind. Now, with all that being said, you're probably thinking, wow, Ada sucks. She absolutely does not. A lot of people are saying that. Quite frankly, a lot of people are wrong because they are playing her incorrectly. Ada's big strength is her mobility. She is faster, whenever you take into account all her dodging, than any other character in the game. She is a master, and I mean a master, of picking off kills from across the map when you're safe. However, alternatively, her big weakness is one-on-one combat. So if you can't get out of a situation, if you're out of stamina, for instance, you're kind of fucked. And if you're dealing with a BOW one-on-one, things aren't going to go so good. Now, moving on to this hot, dripping sack of man meat, we got Chris Redfield. So, Chris Redfield is what a lot of people are calling the strongest character in the beta. I kind of disagree. I do see where he has a lot of strength, but overall, I think there are a few characters that are actually better than him. But that's just this gorgeous man's opinion. Chris excels at dealing with bioweapons, more so than anyone else. His skills uniquely set him apart, where he can deal with a bioweapon on one-on-one combat in close quarters, whereas nobody else can. So, on your boulder punching adventures, you'll be using the Samurai Edge handgun and the CQBR assault rifle. The CQBR is very, very powerful. Obviously, it fires fast because it's an assault rifle, but his Samurai Edge is a fantastic handgun as well. It fires fast, it hits hard, and sounds cool. Using these, Chris is going to have no problem going head-to-head with anyone. It is scary to come face-to-face with a Chris, and you will rarely get out of that alive. That being said, when it comes to his skills, his passive is Pride of the Original 11. I don't know what the hell that means, but I do know it means whenever you are lower on health, you're going to do more damage to bioweapons. So the closer you are to dying, the more damage output you have against a BOW. Very straightforward, very effective. But where things get very interesting is when you combo that with Indomitable Spirit. What that does is set up for a fixed time. Basically, Chris is invisible. He can't die. Well, I shouldn't say invincible. He still does take damage, but nothing can kill him, no matter how big the strike, no matter how much damage it does. So typically you want to use this mainly when you're dealing with bioweapons. Say you're running around and you run into a fucking super tyrant. You pop Indomitable Spirit, he can kick your ass. He can bring you down to 1 HP. But if he's doing that, you're alive and you're doing more damage to him, you're actually going to be able to take him down. This works the exact same for survivors, except you don't get that damage increase. But as I mentioned, Chris doesn't really need a damage increase when it comes to dealing with survivors. Lastly, he has the AMG 78 Joe Baker Special. So this is the power glove, basically, from Resident Evil 7's End of Zoe. What you do is leap forward with a big old punch. Of course they gave Chris a punch, and what it does is do big damage, and if you use it on a survivor, they're going to get knocked down, which means you have an opportunity to lay into them with your assault rifle. Typically, a good strategy for using this is at the beginning of a combat where you can charge in, then hit your Indomitable Spirit because you are still able to be damaged during it, and that's going to give you the ability to roll out of that combat and lay down some suppressing fire. So overall, Chris's strength is, well, he's a tough brute man. He can basically deal with anyone or anything one-on-one without having to worry too much. Even if he's getting ganged up on, it's very easy for Chris to pop Indomitable Spirit and get the hell out of there, because he does still have mobility as he has 3 dodges. If you want to feel like a powerhouse, pick Chris as your first character whenever you play this game. He is very easy to pick up and play, more so than I would say any of the other characters, and if you do pick him, you are going to have fun doing it. Now, when it comes to Chris's weaknesses, nothing really stands out. He's pretty good all around, but the one thing that I say is kind of holding him back is his health. He doesn't seem to have a lot of health, and that's not the biggest problem because he does have Indomitable Spirit, but if you're ever in a situation where you can't use Indomitable, he just goes down a lot quicker than you would expect someone like Chris Redfield to go down. Next on the docket is little sister Claire Redfield. And oh my god, do I love Claire in this game. I love Claire anyway, but I haven't seen her being this badass since the old Code Veronica days. Rest in peace. In a sense, Claire is also an outskirts fighter, similar to Ada, but not quite the same, because she lends herself more to being in the fray than Ada does, but typically you want to be running away from enemies, but you still want to keep fairly close, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Right out the gate, the first thing I want to say is you see that little bar underneath skill power over there? Somebody fucked up at Neobards because that's supposed to be reversed. Her skills are fantastic, you will see. Now, in her arsenal, she has the Quick Draw Army Handgun and the MQ-11. And if you've played Resistance, you might think, what the fuck? Why do I want to use Claire? Those are garbage. Well, interesting thing about Resistance is a lot of the guns that are crap in Resistance are phenomenal in the actual games that they're in. So the Quick Draw Army is the fastest handgun in the game. The only downfall is it is molasses to reload. She reloads this gun one bullet at a time, even slower than she did in RE2R. And her MQ-11 is, I would say, one of the better machine guns out of all the survivors. It acts a little differently than the assault rifles. You have a little more control over your firing, and it does a little bit less damage to compensate for that. So, moving on to her skills. Her passive is the Speed Loader, and this is a pretty fun one. She will reload her Quick Draw Army every time she dodges. So basically, if you reload the Quick Draw Army, this is how you want to do it. You do not have time to reload that thing one bullet at a time. You got to remember that you have to have your Quick Draw Army equipped, or else it actually won't get reloaded. So basically, this skill adds a little bit of variety to Claire, whereas a lot of characters, you don't generally use your handgun. Claire, you are going to. You're going to use it more than the others, that's for sure, because you want to unload the Quick Draw, reload, and then switch to your MQ, because the Quick Draw actually does more damage than the MQ, so your output's going to be a lot higher. Next, she has the Adrenaline Shot. So, nothing too fancy there. It is very self-explanatory. You use it, it heals yourself. It heals for about half to 3/4 of a green herb heal, so it's not quite as strong, but believe me, it's on such a short cooldown that this thing will save your life, because you'll be popping it every single chance you get, popping it in combat, after you dodge, etc. It's really, really a great ability. Now, lastly, Claire has the Modified Alternator. So, you throw a Modified Alternator in front of you, and electricity will stun everything that you hit along its path and do just a little bit of damage. This is the skill that makes Claire top tier. Without this, she wouldn't be as good as she is. This is the ultimate tool for stun locking enemies. Not only does it work on survivors, but it also works on bioweapons. So think about this. You throw this into a group containing survivors and bioweapons, they are all stunned. You can take them all down with your MQ and your Quick Draw. Basically, if you get hit by one of these, it's death. Guaranteed death. Unless that Claire is completely out of ammo for some reason and she refuses to reload, you're going down. So with all that information, I think it's pretty obvious that Claire's major strength is her ability to shut down targets and secure a kill. She also has very high health, deceptively high. I would almost say that she has the most health in the game. The only other person that might have close is HUNK. I'm actually not sure between the two of them who has more, but either way, this girl's not going down without a fight. And similar to her brother, she has no glaring weaknesses. The only thing I would say to be careful about is she can only dodge 2 times. So you gotta make sure that you take care of your enemies quickly and efficiently, because in prolonged combat, you're not really going to be able to deal with a bioweapon, one of the old boulder punchers, or even a sneaky little hunk. Now, next we got Jillium. So, there's a lot of talk about Jill. A lot of people like her, a lot of people don't like her. I fall right in the creamy middle where I don't really have to make a decision. I probably play her less than the others because I just find her less fun, but that's completely me. She could be right up your alley with her playstyle. She's kind of a Jill of all trades, if you will, similar to how she was in Resistance actually, where she kind of does it all. She's kind of a little stealthy, she has a little hand-to-hand action, she's speedy, but you know, she only has 2 dodges. Now, like Chris, Jill has the Samurai Edge handgun and the CQBR assault rifle. So the Samurai Edge, it functions exactly the same as Chris's, so there's really no need to go into that, and her assault rifle as well does the same. So as far as straight damage output is concerned, all the stars have aligned. Now, when it comes to Jill's skills, her passive is Desperation. This makes it so every time she dodges, she gets a attack damage boost. So this combos really well with her hot dogger, but it's also great for just straight damage with her guns. It means whenever you are getting away from enemies, you can actually turn the tables, turn around on them and start unloading because you're going to do more damage that way. This ability gives her a little bit of an edge whenever she's on the offense and defense, and that's what's great about her, is pretty much everything she has that versatility. As for her active skills, the first of which is Landmine. So the Landmine, kinda underwhelming, and in my opinion, not very Jill-esque. What you do is you slap a landmine down, and what it doesn't tell you is it does actually have a little bit of a startup time, not too long, but enough to kind of piss you off whenever it doesn't go off. But the landmine does explode when attacked as well. So this landmine, when it's down, it makes a sound and it has flashing lights on top of it. It's actually easier to miss than you would think, but the sound is what's going to give away its position to your enemies. It does, however, do a big chunk of damage when it does go off, and it is great for AoE, and something I like to do is kind of slip into the fray, drop one, and get the hell out of there. Kind of just watch all the House of Cards fall. Lastly, she has the Hot Dogger. Now, the Hot Dogger, it has a fairly short range, yet you gotta be almost touching them, not quite, but close enough. And if you hit someone with this, it's guaranteed death, 100%. They're going down, you're gonna kill a survivor. You're not gonna kill a bioweapon, but you're gonna do a huge chunk of damage to them. What's interesting about the Hot Dogger is if you're using it after you dodge, not only do you get the increased damage from it, but you also do a giant tiger uppercut with it, and that does not quite as much damage as your original stab would have done, but I would say about 2/3 of that. So overall, as far as strengths and weaknesses go, I'm not going to say that Jill has any outstanding qualities or overwhelming faults. I'm going to say she is level across the board. If you play as her, you choose her to be your first character, expect a little bit of a learning curve. Not quite the same as someone like Ada, but she is not nearly as easy as someone like Chris. The next character I want to talk about is HUNK. So if you want to do some owning when this game comes out, start playing HUNK, start practicing, and get good with him, because HUNK is amazing. Personally, I still think Ada is better, but HUNK is a great second choice. He has the unique ability to not only be a stealth character, if you really wanted him to be, you could be sneaky as fuck, treat him like he's Ada, and just devastate the battlefield. But if that's not your bag, and you don't feel like playing Chris, go in guns a-blazing, because HUNK is powerful as fuck. Now, he's not quite the bioweapon killer that Chris is, but he's a close second. He is, however, a survivor killer. And the reason for that is his weapons are unmatched, as they should be, because he is, after all, the Reaper. Now, his weapons are the MUP handgun and the LE5 submachine gun. So the MUP, best handgun in the game, bar none. It is super powerful, super fast, reloads relatively quickly, and it's pretty much all you can ask for in a handgun. I would say it's the only handgun in the game right now that is an actual viable source of damage. And then of course we have the LE5, which is just a magical machine gun, does so much damage, quick fire rate, reloads quickly, all that good stuff. But what really makes HUNK shine are his skills. They are so cool. His passive, Tragedy of the Reaper, means every time he gets a kill with his assassinate ability while he's camouflaged, it extends the duration of his camouflage. So that's really cool because he has one of the only passives that work in conjunction with everything else that he has. In theory, you could stay camouflaged perpetually if you were good enough with your assassinates. And on the subject of active camouflage, what it is exactly what it says. It is active camouflage. So it says it silences your footsteps. What that really means is bioweapons can't see you. So he has the only skill in the game that makes it so bioweapons can't see you through walls. And it also makes him semi-transparent to the point that unless the survivors are really paying attention and know he's there, they're not going to be able to see him. If they're busy doing something else, they're not going to see him. He's kind of like the fucking Predator. Now on top of that, he's got the stabby stab, assassinate. So this shoots a knife out your palm, and it's got a very, very small range, about the same size as the hot dogger, and it does massive damage. It does more than the hot dogger. If you are camouflaged, it's a one-hit kill to any survivor. One hit, doesn't matter. And it's gonna actually one-hit a couple of the bows as well. You're gonna be able to take out a fat molded with it if you're camouflaged, and it does a huge chunk of damage to the Tyrant, Jack, Gamma, and Nemesis. So when it comes to Hunk's strengths and weaknesses, his strengths obviously are his brute power and his versatility. You can play him as just a brawler, or you can play him a little bit more sneaky. Now his weaknesses, again, nothing too glaring. He's a great starter character, although a little bit more difficult to master, but there's nothing that's gonna make you die cheaply. There's nothing that's gonna make you curse him. So overall, a very, very strong choice. Moving on now to lucky last, Mr. Leon Scott Kennedy. So Leon is, bar none, the best starter character, I think. He is perfectly balanced in every way, more so than even Jill. He is straight shooter, and you gotta respect him for that. He doesn't really excel at anything, but he doesn't fail at anything either. So in his arsenal, he has his trademark Matilda. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the stock and extended magazine on it, but he also has the W870. And right now, that is the only shotgun in the game. So that means when you're up close and personal, Leon's gonna Baja Blast your bloody brains out. And when it comes to his skills, he has the passive Rookie Spirit. So what this does is partially recover a portion of your HP over time. Basically what that means is whenever you're taking damage, every once in a while you see a nice green glow and you get a little heal for about half as much as a green herb. So believe me, this will save your life. I remember whenever I first started playing the beta, I was going against a few Leons and I was wondering, why the fuck won't they just die? Now, in regards to his active skills, he gets what I think is the coolest ability in the game, Dual Wield. Dual wield his handguns in style, increasing his rate of fire and ammo capacity. Doesn't do any more damage technically, but really, it does, because you're firing off as if he's got a machine gun almost. And Leon's never really dual wielded in the series, so it's a little strange. However, it does so much damage, and you get a nice little laser sight on each handgun for pinpoint accuracy. This is a very, very strong ability, and like I said, it's just so damn cool. This is great for dealing massive damage to bioweapons, but of course it also works on survivors as well. Now, to keep the cool train moving, Leon's got his roundhouse kick. Unfortunately, the roundhouse kick isn't as great as it was in Resident Evil 4. It has a strangely short range. However, you can hit more than one opponent with it, and if you're hitting a survivor, it knocks them down. So just think about if you have a couple survivors around you, you can knock them all down with the roundhouse kick if you're close enough. And knockdowns in this game, as I've said before, are game changers. If you knock someone down with the roundhouse kick, you basically got a free kill. And interestingly enough, it doesn't knock down bioweapons, but it does stagger them. So you can use this and then dual wield to really unload and do some big damage. Now, when it comes to his strengths, what I say is his biggest strength is his balance. And what I mean by that is he does well in pretty much any situation that you throw him in. He's great at close combat, he's great at range, He's decent against bioweapons, and he's decent against a survivor. He's fast, he has 3 dodges, and his health is pretty decent as well when you combo it with his passive. So overall, I would say Leon is the starter character to use. He's the easiest to master by far, and he is just a lot of fun to play. Alternatively, the weakness is his balance. What that means is he's not going to excel at anything. He can do it all, but he only does it all decently. So that was my breakdown of the survivor basics. What I want you guys to get out of all this is a good starting point. We obviously don't know what characters are going to come right off the bat whenever the full launch comes out, but I want you guys to be able to kind of zero in on what kind of character you want to use. You don't necessarily need to know what character it is yet, but I just want to give you guys kind of a feeler for the different kind of playstyles that you can expect at the end of the day. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. I hope it helps you out just a little bit, and I hope you are all super stoked to play Reverse in May, just like I am. So as always, I'm TG. If you like what you saw, you know what to do. If not, meh. Keep it sleazy.